phase of economic confrontation between the United States and China is underway, with both countries dramatically escalating tariffs on each other's goods in what analysts are now calling the most intense chapter of the U.S.-China trade war since it first erupted in 2018 to U.S. President Donald Trump has reignited trade hostilities by reimposing and significantly expanding sweeping tariffs on Chinese imports, with levies more than 125% in retaliation to the earlier imposed tariffs. Beijing has announced counter-tariffs that now reach an eye-watering 84%, up from the previous 34%. This renewed economic brinkmanship is sending shockwaves through global markets, fueling concerns over inflation by disrupting supply chains and increasing fears of a broader downturn in international trade. Economists warn that the world's two largest economies together, accounting for more than 43% of global GDP, are sliding into a full-blown economic Cold War with no exit ramp in sight. Tariffs have long been a cornerstone of Trump's America First agenda, but this latest volley marks a more aggressive shift than anything seen during his first term. He's now calling for tariffs of up to 125% on a wide array of Chinese goods. These include not only finished products like smartphones and toys, but also critical inputs to American manufacturing, such as industrial components, base metals, and electronic parts.
Right now, China is paying a 104% tariff. Think of it, 104%. Now, it sounds ridiculous, but they charged us for many items 100%, 125%. Many countries have. They've ripped us off left and right. But now it's our turn to do the ripping.
Beyond punitive tariffs, Trump is pushing for the removal of China's most favored nation trade status and proposing what his team calls a universal baseline tariff, a minimum tariff on all countries with China bearing the steepest penalties. Beijing has not taken this escalation lightly. The Chinese Ministry of Commerce issued a blunt statement vowing to fight to the end to protect national economic interests. The retaliatory measures are targeted and strategic, designed to inflict maximum political and economic pain. Key U.S. exports that are politically sensitive American soybeans, petroleum products, LNG, and automobiles are facing sharper tariffs. China has also hinted at curbing exports of critical minerals like gallium and germanium, materials vital to U.S. defense and high-tech sectors. Restrictions on these exports have already begun. Some analysts believe Beijing could extend these measures to include rare earth elements, lithium, graphite, and tungsten, potentially crippling the production of semiconductors, electric vehicles, and advanced weaponry in the U.S. China produces around 90% of the world's rare earths, a group of 17 elements used across the defense, electric vehicle, energy, and electronics industries. China has grown into the factory of the world since it first started opening up in the 1970s and now makes up about a third of all global manufacturing output and runs a trade surplus with more than 160 countries. Not only are companies like Taiwan's Honorable High Precision Industry, Co., still making most of the world's iPhones in China, but Chinese manufacturers are looking for new markets for their suddenly world-beating electric cars, 0.1 turbines, batteries, and other high-tech products. Despite political hostilities, the U.S. and China remain deeply economically entwined. In 2024, total bilateral trade in goods reached approximately $585 billion, with each China exporting around $440 billion worth of goods to the U.S. and importing $145 billion worth from American businesses. This leaves the U.S. with a trade deficit of nearly $295 billion. Critics often point to this deficit as proof of economic imbalance, but experts argue it reflects global production patterns and consumer behavior. China continues to dominate in manufacturing sectors, particularly consumer electronics and low-cost goods. Meanwhile, U.S. exports are concentrated in bulk commodities, agriculture, pharmaceuticals, and high-end industrial goods. China supplies a significant share of America's consumer tech needs. Smartphones alone comprise 9% of U.S. imports from China, many of them manufactured by or for U.S.-based companies like Apple. Laptops make up another 7%, while other top imports include batteries, 3%, toys 2%, and telecoms equipment 2%. U.S. exports to China in 2024 were dominated by soybeans 9%, aircraft and engines 8%, integrated circuits 4%, pharmaceuticals 4%, and petroleum 3%. These figures from the U.S. International Trade Commission underline how entrenched and finely tuned this bilateral trade flow has become over the years. U.S. multinationals are adopting a China plus one strategy, diversifying supply chains by expanding into nations like India, Mexico, and Indonesia. But experts caution that few of these countries can match China's manufacturing scale, skilled workforce, or logistics infrastructure. While tariffs are promoted as tools to protect domestic industry, they often come at a cost to American households. During the previous trade war phase, a study by the Federal Reserve Bank of New York found that the average American household paid an extra $831 per year due to increased import costs under Trump's new tariff framework, with duties exceeding 100% on some items. That number could surge. Consumer staples such as phones, TVs, clothes, shoes, and toys are likely to become more expensive. Companies may also respond by cutting jobs or delaying investment. The trade war's effects are spilling over into global markets. China's industrial overcapacity, supported by state subsidies, is flooding international markets with underpriced steel, solar panels, and electric vehicles. UK Steel has warned that Britain could face a surge in cheap Chinese steel diverted from the US. The EU and Latin American countries have issued similar alarms, citing risks to local industries and employment. The International Monetary Fund has cut its global growth forecast, blaming increasing trade, fragmentation, and protectionism as major headwinds as both powers dig in. The political calculus is hardening. Trump is betting that trade nationalism will resonate with voters in an election year. President Trump, under pressure not to appear soft on Beijing, has preserved many Biden-era tariffs and even expanded them. But there is still no framework for serious negotiations, and few believe that either side is ready to compromise. There are no winners in a trade war. Economist Ishwar Prasad had warned only damage. The world now watches as the U.S. and China edge further into economic decoupling, a shift that could reshape global trade fractures, supply chains, and redraw the map of global economic power.